طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اتبع هداه أما بعد Alhamdulillah, welcome back after a quite lengthy break to these revision classes of Madeenah Book 2. So we previously had completed going through Madeenah Book 2. Alhamdulillah, we got to the end of the book and we decided that there was not enough focus that was given to matching the vocabulary of the book to the purpose why we were studying the book, which is to be able to understand the Quran better when we're reading it. And that's one of the main goals. Obviously, generally, to understand the ulama when they explain the Quran and when they explain the Sunnah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is another goal, but which is more advanced. In the immediate sense, the closest access is while you're reading the Quran, you should be able to recognize and notice words, and vocabulary, and verb forms that you would have studied. And that gives a person a sense of confidence and enjoyment that they're learning the Arabic language, and there are some fruits, they see them quite quickly, inshallah. So we had previously started at Dars al-Sabi' wal-Ishrun, but it's been a long gap. So I think we'll just very quickly go to the beginning and we'll try to just pick up some of the main points. So we notice over here in the first line of this conversation, it says, متى جئت من جدة يا خالد متى جئت من جدة يا خالد. So since these lessons toward the end of Dars al-Kitab al-Thani, second Madeenah Book 2, since these lessons towards the end of the book, they are looking at al-fi'l al-mu'tal, that verb which is not in it doesn't have three sound letters. So either there's going to be a weak letter in the beginning, the middle, or at the end, or as we are going to see in a couple of lessons, so the letter is doubled, or like for example, hajja, the fi'l where the jim has got a shadda on it, so the second letter is actually doubled. The second and third letter of that verb is the same, so it's doubled and it comes together with a shadda. That comes later on, inshallah, in the Dars, I think it's At-Tasi' wal-Ishrun or Thamin wal-Ishrun. Over here, we notice that the fi'l has got a hamza to it, and also the fi'l has a hamza in it. That we could focus on that. So if you look over here, ji'ta originally comes from which verb? Can someone tell me the verb ji'ta is coming from?
Ja.
أيوة أحسن. جاء. That is the fi'l ماضي. And the fi'l مضارع?
يجيء.
Handwriting's got worse over the years. This is your ya, this is your jim, this is the ya at the beginning, Yaji, and then there's a hamza at the end. Ja'a yaji'u. Yaji'u. Fa'ala yaf'alu. Ja'a yaji'u. Now this kasra over here is being forced on the jim because of the presence of the ya. Otherwise, ordinarily, it might be ja'a yaja'u or ja'a yaja'u. No, it wouldn't be that. Wouldn't be yaja'u. Yawja'u. Again, it wouldn't be that either. Ja'a yaji'u. Why is it important to know the fi'l mudari'? I'm giving a lot of time to fi'l mudari'. Why are we talking about fi'l mudari'? Why do we need to know something about this? Is because when you want to form fi'l amr, then it comes from fi'l mudari'. There are a few steps. The first step is to take away harf al-mudara'a, so the ya will move. So it starts immediately with the jim, and in this case the jim has a kasra on it, so we don't need to add hamza al-wasl at the beginning to help us pronounce the word. And the second thing is that this dhamma, which is at the end of the word, will turn into a sukoon, because fi'l amr is going to be majzoom. Now, what do you notice about this verb? Now that I've changed it, the hamza into a sukoon, what would you say? Habib?
Iltiqai sakinain.
Barakallahu fi ahsantum. Yes, also the sister mentioned the same in the chat. Two sukoons are now side by side, so one of them has to go. So we'll get rid of the first one, and then you are left with the jim and the hamza. The hamza needs somewhere to sit, so we give it this kursi, and it becomes like this. Jit. Jit. Which means to come. Allahu Alam, this verb, it's quite possible that this verb is not in use, that it's obsolete. We hardly hear anyone saying jit as a command. But what is important to know is in the fi'l madi, when you have this damir muttasil added to the fi'l, which was originally ja'a, and you add the ta to it, it's not easy to pronounce. Ja'atu, you can't say ja'atu. So there will be some changes taking place over here to the way this fi'l is structured in order to have this damir attached to the verb. That is why the alif is removed. Sukoon is in the middle, and it becomes jit or jit ta or jit ti. Ajiti min Makkah. Did you come from Makkah? Ajita min al-Riyadi. Did you come from Riyadh? Ana jitu min al-Madinati. I came from Medina. Okay. And also, so now you can see how when you look at this fi'l amr, you can see the result of two sukoons being put together. And we notice it again in this sentence over here, he said, La lam yaji ba'du. La lam yaji ba'du. Where it's a very similar thing happening. Ja'a, yaji'u, and then the ya has been removed because lam is jazim. Okay. So what we want to do is look at examples in the Quran where the last letter of a fi'l has a hamza. This is one thing to look at. Another one to also look at are those verbs. I think we looked at this quite to some extent. Those verbs that have a weak letter, a harf al-illa in the middle, which is known as al-ajwaf. As you can see over here, he says, azurta as-safira, azurta as-safira, and zurta comes from the verb. Anyone tell me? Zurta comes from the verb
Zara.
Zara. You're going to give me the full with the madari as well.
Yaziru.
Zara yazuru.
Yazuru.
Yazuru, Zara yazuru. Sorry, my handwriting tool is not with me, so I'm just using the trackpad. Zara yazuru. Ziyaratan. Ziyaratan. Ziyara is the noun of that verb. So, again, when you have this damir muttasil being added to the fi'l madi, then this letter in the middle, the weak letter, it disappears. Also, yazuru, you want to make fi'l amr, take away the harf al-mudara'a, and the first letter already has a dhamma on it. So therefore you don't need to add hamzat al-wasl. Then you're going to have the same situation where the waw has got a sukoon, and because it's fi'l amr, it's going to have a sukoon. So iltiqa as-sakinain, two sukoons coming together, so you have to delete one of them. So the first one goes, the weak letter goes, and you're left with zur. Zur. Visit. Zur, visit. Jayid. So does anyone have any examples from the Quran of al-fi'l al-ajwaf or al-fi'l al-mahmuz, the fi'l that has a hamza inside it? Anyone think of examples like that? Let's see if we can find yazuru, for example, over here. Yazuru. Does it show that? How about Zara? No. Any help, guys?
سيروا في الأرض سار السير.
Barakallahu feek. That's interesting. That's really nice. Sara yasiru. Sayrun. Sayr. Suyirat. Now, you said siru. I didn't choose it straight away. It is there. Qul siru fil ardi. Can you give us a breakdown of what this verb actually is? Let's write it over here. Siru. We said in the fi'l amr, the the weak letter in the middle, it gets dropped. Like جاء يجيء جئ, زار يزور زر. So Sara Yasiru. So why is there a ya still there? Siru. Siru. Why is there a ya still there? Anyone? Sara, which means to traverse upon the land, or to travel, to visit. Exactly, one sister says, another example is Qala Yaqulu Qul. That's true. So, but let's focus on this one here. Sara Yasiru. Sara Yasiru. Okay, this is Ya followed by Seen, followed by Ya again. Then there's a ya, Ra at the end. Sara Yasiru. So the first step of getting that is Fi'al Amr is to remove the Ya. And then you're left with Siru. And we
I
know
think
that,
because it's. Oh, sorry.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking maybe because it doesn't affect the pronunciation of the word when you do the fi'l amr. I'm not sure.
So look at this word. Sara Yasiru. We've taken away the harf al-mudara'a. Now we've got the Seen, we've got the Ya, and we've got the Ra, and these two have both got sukoons on them. So what we're going to have to do? We know we have to take away the Ya because of the sukoon, iltiqa sakinain. So fi'l amr is
So,
sir. Sir. So then why in this ayah does Allah Ta'ala say siru?
is it because it's
Imran,
German?
it's got the answer. There you are. Because it's Jam. So
No.
Imran says.
No, I was going to say it was Jama, but the Prophet said it as well.
Okay. So what's the significance of it being Jama?
Because otherwise you'd have to have you couldn't say sirru. You'd have to put a shadda on it.
Okay. Okay, Abu Bakr.
I really don't know.
Look, because look,
because of harf
look at the
nun?
original. You have to go back to the original word. Yasiru. Yasiru. To get the fi'l amr, the first thing is take away the harf al-mudara'a. Khalas? And then when you've got waw and alif at the end, that ra no longer has sukoon on it. So how is this is supposed to be fi'l majzoom? So where is the jazm?
Oh, the sukoon is not there anymore. Yeah.
The sukoon is not there, so we don't need to remove the ya. So the fi'l is siru. But siru is fi'l amr majzoom, because fi'l amr is majzoom. So what's the alamatul jazm?
Just means known thubut
Ahsant, akhi Habib.
harf
The
nun.
noon from yasiruna has been removed because that is from the af'al al-khamsa. Yes, af'al al-khamsa, it is marfu' bi thubut al-noon. The presence of the noon shows that it's marfu', and the removal of the noon shows that it is either mansub or majroor. Correct? Correct?
Yeah, majroor and majzoom.
Can you say majroor, so verb?
No, majzoom, it should be.
No, you can't say it. You cannot say it. From the khasa'is, jar is from the khasa'is of the ism.
It's fine.
Only the nouns will be majroor. The verbs can never be majroor. That's why in Al-Ajurumiyya, Ibn Al-Ajurrum mentions that from the signs of a noun is al-jar, is the majroor, because this is specific to a ism. So yeah, so the hadf al-noon is either for mansoob or
Majzoom.
majzoom. That's why. So here, siru alamatul jazmi hadfun noon. Alamatul jazmi hadfun noon. So why is the ya still there? Because there's no need to remove it, because the ra is not sukun, it's not sakin. Ra has a dhamma on it. Why does the ra have a dhamma on it? Because of waw al jama'. Because of waw al jama', which is there. جيد بارك الله فيك أحسنت. And then the example was mentioned of qala and kul. So many examples of qala. This is a fi'l al-ajwaf, where the middle letter is harf illah. Qalu. But how about fi'l amr from qala yaqulu?
قل.
What is qul? جيد. So now we've taken away the alif, or the waw, sorry. Qala yaqulu. Qala yaqulu. Qul yaqulu. جيد. قال يقول. And فعل أمر becomes قل. How about if this becomes jama', and therefore the lam doesn't have a dhamma, then the waw stays, and we take away the noon from yaquluna. So what is the fi'l amr now?
قولوا.
Ahsant, barakallahu feek. Is that in the Quran anywhere?
Yeah. قولوا آمنا بالله.
قولوا آمنا بالله وما أنزل علينا وما أنزل
من قبل.
There is. قولوا آمنا بالله وما أنزل إلينا وما أنزل إلى إبراهيم وإسماعيل وإسحاق ويعقوب والأسباط وما أوتي موسى وعيسى وما أوتي النبيون من ربهم. جيد. Then you have قولوا أسلمنا. And what's in Surah Al-Hujurat? What's the ayah? قالت الأعراب آمنا قل لم تؤمنوا ولكن قولوا أسلمنا ولما يدخل الإيمان في قلوبكم قولوا أسلمنا. So that is another example of al-fi'l al-ajwab. Let's go down, inshallah, and see some examples of mu'tal al-ain or al-fi'l al-ajwaf. So it's actually not giving the focus, not much focus given to the mahmuz, the fi'l that has a hamza at the end of it. That it seems like it's going to be a separate lesson. all together. Ajwaf is the one that has a weak letter in the middle. So you have Qala, Yakulu, Kana, Yakunu, Sama, Yasumu. All these ones are there. There's that Sara, Yasiru. There you go. That's the example that you gave. How about this one? Kala Yakilu. Is that in the Quran? Anywhere? Any of the verbs related to Kala Yakilu? What's the meaning of Kala Yakilu? What is it related to?
Eat.
Sorry?
Eat.
Ah, that it. In actual fact, that is Akala
Have
Yakulu.
fun.
That's fi'al mahmuz. Akala Yakulu. But as the sister said in the chat, she said measure. Yes. It's actually weight, weighing. Yeah, weighing. And is it got to do with weighing liquids? Quite possibly. Or grain, weighing grain. Yeah. Weighing grains and liquids. That's the, so it's a measure. So it's the measure. Exactly. Surah Al-Mutaffifin, she says, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا اكْتَالُوا. That is from the verb pattern افتعل, اكتال. But is there any examples of fi'l thulathi? Any surah that you can think that there would be something to do with weighing and measuring?
There's one in Surah Al-Isra. I can't remember.
So the Isra, is it? So straight away came to my mind was Surah Yusuf.
No.
Is there anything in there? Because he was giving measures, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What's the verb in Surah Yusuf? Sorry, Surah Isra.
I'm looking for it. I can't.
So iktala, even though we haven't studied that pattern of verb, that is there. Surah Al-Mutaffifin, الذين إذا اكتالوا على الناس يستوفون أو وإذا كالوهم
Yeah, this
أو
one here.
وزنوهم يخسرون. There you go.
وأوفوا الكيل إذا كلتم وزنوا بالقسطاس المستقيم.
ما شاء الله تبارك الله. Exactly. الحمد لله. كلتم. أوفوا الكيل إذا كلتم. كلتم comes from كال يكيل. كال. Then you add the فعل, the ضمير متصل to it. Oh, so Yusuf, it is yeah. ألا ترون أني أوفي الكيل وأنا خير المنزلين. That's the references this just gave. So Yusuf 59. So al-kayl, this is the noun. فلا كيل لكم عندي ولا تقربون. جيد. That's كال يكيل. Nice. Here's جاء يجيء.
Oh, it's also. Oh, sorry. It's also. No, I said it's also in Surah Al-Shu'ara.
Which ayah?
Oh, but I don't think it's the fi'l. He said, أوفوا الكيل ولا تكونوا من المخسرين.
Yeah, this is Shu'aib alayhi salam, is it?
Yeah.
Talking to the people of Madeenah. They weren't being just in their measure. Yeah. So there's a difference between kale and wazn. Wazn has got to do with weight, and kale has got to do with volume. That's why in that Surah Al-Mutaffifin, الذين إذا وإذا كالوهم أو وزنوهم يخسرون. When they were to give them measure either of volume or of weight, and they fall short in that. They give them less measure.
I'm sorry, the adhan is called. Can you excuse me?
Yeah, we will have to go now, inshallah, as well. Go ahead. It was nice being with you again. There it is. وَإِذَا كَالُوهُمْ أَوْ وَزَنُوهُمْ يُخْسِرُونَ. This is the mutaffifin. When they go to buy things through in volume or in measure, they expect it to be perfectly weighed. They make sure that they get their full rights. But when it's time for them to give others their measure by selling them something in volume, which is kale, or by weight, which is wazn, then they don't give them that full measure. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described them as mutaffifin, those people who do tatafif of the scales. And this was one of the calamities of the people of Madeenah, which was coupled with their shirk and the worship of others besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which led them to further misguidance. And they didn't take Allah as their Lord and the Prophet as their guide for their Sharia. So then they went astray and they started following the desires. And one of the things that they did was fall short in the scales. And Shu'aib alayhi salam, if I'm not mistaken, he focused on that issue with them. After speaking to them about Tawheed, he also brought this matter to their attention. After speaking about the rights of Allah, he also spoke about the rights of the creation. We'll have to stop it there. And inshallah ta'ala, again, cannot emphasize enough the importance of encouraging you all to be studying these lessons, even though we don't have online classes. We haven't been having them that much, but the lessons are available online. Recordings are there. You don't have to punish yourself and say, I'm not going to continue until I study Madeenah Book 1 again. Then I go all the way back to Madeenah Book 1. Then you find after lesson 5, you become bored and you don't have the motivation to continue because it's just, it's not challenging enough. Or the time that you had that was free, you used it for things that you could have better used it for. So the lessons in Madeenah Book 2, if that's what you have been studying, revise Madeenah Book 2 rather than Book 1, because the rules of Madeenah Book 1 are embedded in Madeenah Book 2. And we touched on them as we were teaching them and learning them together, reminding each other of some of those rules. So the Book 1 rules will come to surface, come to light again anyway, inshallah. The sister's asking which book this is. We're talking about I'm not sure if are you aware of Madeenah University books, Arabic books, Madeenah Book 1, Madeenah Book 2, and Madeenah Book 3. So this one is, we are currently going through Madeenah Book 2. We finished Madeenah Book 2, what is on the screen right now. And we went over it a second time just to connect some of the ayat in the Qur'an to the words and rules in this in these letters. But it does look different because this is a particular print which was which we found on a website, to be honest, which is not recommended. But they had this colorful version of the book. We downloaded it because it was easy to illustrate on the screen for everyone to see, but the black and white copy is the one that is widespread, which is fine to use, inshallah. So we'll stop there, inshallah, and hope, bi'idhnillah, by Allah's permission, we will start recommence next week at the same time, 8 o'clock KSA time, inshallah. والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. والسلام عليكم.
Assalamu alaikum.
ورحمة الله وبركاته.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.